Banky special.
Yeah.
Pure deliciousness.
Pure deliciousness, man. My name is Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's the name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts. Shout out to everybody out there on Team Banky Pound. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. We on the road to 100K, baby. We rolling. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate all the likes. You know, we on the road. We ain't gonna stop, man. Ever forward, never backward. We rolling with it. Today, man, as y'all can see, I'm wearing the paraphernalia, you know, DC, you know, Washington, DC. I want to talk a little bit about, you know, how it was in the system to be from DC and the Virginia system, you know, and, you know, that's the title, you know, DC, you know, versus everybody, because that is exactly the way it always seemed. You know, I guess it's just like out here in the real world, you know, when you're a minority, then, you know, it seems like everybody else is against you or everybody else is above you. That's how it was in the system. As far as with DC cats, man, it was like we was always the minority. It seemed like we, you know, we ain't get no whole lot of love. I get to say that. It won't no whole lot of love. And it was even more crazy for me because even though I'm from DC, I lived in Virginia a lot as well. I got a lot of family in Virginia. But once you go in the system and whatever it is, like I say, always in the system is how you start is gonna be how you finish. Once I went in the system and the first people I ran into that I actually knew in the system was from DC and knew me, and everybody just boom associated me with DC, and that was it. No matter if you lived in Virginia before or not, they just gonna always look at you as a DC cat. And, you know, that's how my whole bit went, which was cool with me, you know. But, you know, along with that came a whole lot of drama, whole lot of hate, and a whole lot of controversy, man. But you know, that's just how it is. That's the lay of the land. You know, you got to take the crickets with the straights. But from the beginning, I think back to, you know, Southampton receiving, you know, what really wasn't there that long. The wall was just so crazy and so, you know, drawn out. I'm thinking in my mind in the wall, I don't even think I ran into but like two DC dudes in the wall, and both of them was older cats. And both of them, you know, had their own, you know, problems going on. You know, one of them, you know, was a good dude, man. He let it get high, but that was his whole focus. You know, when you're in prison and you like to get high, that becomes your whole focus. But he was a good dude. He was a boss on the street, so he had a lot of people that was still looking out for him. A lot of dudes that was on the street that was still getting a lot of money that was still looking out for him. But he was an older cat, man, and I can remember from the beginning, you know, me and him connecting and chopping it up and talking about, you know, places in the city, this, that, and the third. Now I'm young, green, don't really know nothing about prison, you know, nothing. You know, everybody in here know more than me, you know. So I can remember though when a dude had beat him, man, out of his money when he tried to score. He tried to get some dope, and the dude gave him some dummies, you know, which for dummies is something that's supposed to be dope but wasn't dope. Dude was just trying to make a hustle. He heard dope is on the compound. Dudes would go around and shake out and make some fake stuff that look like dope and try to sell it too because they know dope on the compound, so they'll try to sell it, try to make a come up. Even though they putting themselves in harm's way and danger, they will do that. But they'll pick and choose of who they do. I guess they chose my homeboy because he was older, you know what I'm saying? So they figured that, you know, he ain't gonna be able to do too much, blah, blah, blah. But I remember, man, him coming to me and he looked so just, you know, defeated and upset because he done gave the dude the money and the dude done gave him some dummies and he want to hurt the dude. But, you know, the dude is a younger dude and got a couple of guys around him or whatever. And here I go, you know, putting myself in situations that, you know, this bigger than me, but I'm not known. I'm going on, you know, hard and bravado, you know. So I'm like, what? They did what? Yeah, I said, well, I'm up. He was like, nah, don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it, young. You know, that's part of the game. But man, they got me, man. That was my last, you know. And I'm like, you know, I'm ready to go to these dudes or whatever. So in my mind, in my testosterone, man, when I see the dude that he talking about, I pull up on him anyway, and I'm like, man, yo, man, you know what I'm saying? You know, you sold my homeboy that foolishness, man. You gotta straighten that. He was like, he looking at me like, man, you little young cat, man, you better get out my face, man. Don't be pulling up on me about nothing I did with somebody else. Did I do something to you? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, you know, and I'm ready to I'm ready to take off on him. But, you know, like I say, a lot of times during my bit, man, God was guiding me because he probably would have pulled that Bethlehem out, you know what I'm saying, and ain't no telling what would have happened to me. But I wasn't thinking on that type of level. I'm thinking on this type of level, and I'm thinking on, you know, man to man, motto and motto. But it don't go down like that in prison, man. So, you know, we had a couple of words, and some other dudes intervened, and then my homeboy came in and was like, man, don't even worry about that, just squash that woo woo woo. But I remember those type of things like that, man, with me just trying to, I always had that in me, man. You know, don't try to take advantage of somebody that I'm cool with, or don't try to take advantage of somebody that I'm around that can't fight for themselves, because I'm going to fight for you, you know. And in penitentiary, it's a whole different ball game. Like I tell people, man, prison and from the prison world is so much different from the real world out here. And the real world out here is so much different from prison world. It's just like two different sets of rules that you got to learn, especially because it's crucial to your survival. You have to learn the difference. And at this point in time, I had not, you know, processed that in my mind. You know, so I put myself in a few situations that probably could have, you know, ended up in my demise, unbeknownst to me, because I'm going on some street stuff, and I'm going on how I feel in my heart, and you know what I'm saying, the way I feel like I can get things done. But yeah, it wouldn't have shook out like that. Them dudes in there, they slinging that iron, and they ain't playing. They pushing that Bethlehem straight through your face, your chest, your kidneys and everything. And I wasn't even ready for that at that particular time. I wasn't even ready for that. So thank God that it worked out the way it did. But those were learning experiences for me, man. But, you know, when I ended up leaving the wall and I went to Augusta, and when I got on Augusta, that's when things opened up. That's when the dynamics opened up, and I seen, you know, the separation between DC and Virginia. You know, DC was a small group, man, a small group in Virginia prison, man. They were small in numbers. I think on Augusta that might have been, I don't know, anywhere from I think like 900 to 1,200 or something, you know, convicts on there. And if you count that amount, it was probably less, maybe 100, 150, you know, cats from DC on the compound. So, you know, the dynamics are clear. But within that 150, you know, they gonna band together, you know, because we already know the count. We know what it is. And man, I didn't even know, you know, even living out here in Virginia, because you never really encounter it when you out on the street. But in prison, it's known that you from DC. Yeah, they got a whole different attitude towards you, a whole different, you know, outlook of, you know, of who you are. And man, it just always seemed like it was some type of animosity one way or another. It's like when you say, man, where you from? You say DC, and it's like, you know, their whole body language change or whatnot. But, you know, I've had a lot of good friends in prison, man. A lot of good friends from different areas. I mean, soldiers, man, that I, you know, still got brotherhood love for to this day. But man, in the beginning and throughout my bit, man, it was always that underlying, you know, okay, yeah, he from DC. You know, it was always that. And on Augusta, man, you know, like the first block that I was in, you know, I got cool, you know, with a whole lot of DC cats, man. I think, man, that first block I was in, we had a decent amount in there as far as back then the way it went, decent amount of dudes in the block, dudes from the city, maybe like seven or better. I know it had me in the block. I was in there with my homeboy Super D, who I told y'all about. Super D, shout out to Super D, R.I.P. Super D. Dixon was in the block, who became my brother for life. You had Church in the block. Church won't nothing to play with, man. Church, you had Speedy. Speedy definitely was not nothing to play with. Those two dudes right there was like best friends, and both of them was like ultra quiet, man. They didn't even talk a lot. They didn't socialize with nobody but dudes from DC. They was really on that DC type of stuff. And you got those different type of characteristics too. You got dudes from DC who recognize, you know, the hate and recognize the animosity, and they get into their shell, their what we call that Lorden type of mentality, where like, you know, like F everybody then, everybody else that ain't from DC, they don't want to talk to you, they don't want to socialize with you. Only time they even want to be acknowledge you is when it's time for war. You know, when it's time to sling that Bethlehem, then they all with it. You know, all you got to do is have one dude from DC say he got beef with dudes from here, there, whatever, and they ready. I mean, they ready, and they ain't playing. They slinging the KU up out of here. You know, that's Church and Speedy. Man, we had Daryl Mayo in the block. I spoke about Daryl Mayo in some other videos. Crazy is I don't know what, man. He was always the wild card, always the dude that caused all the problems. He had zero filter on his mouth. He gonna say whatever, whenever, to whoever, and he gonna say it loud. You know what I'm saying? So you had Mayo, who caused a whole lot of friction between a whole lot of different people. Richmond, Tidewater, he just a controversial dude. But, you know, like I say, DC dudes had to band together because the odds was always against you. So Mayo's in the clique. We got to take the good and the bad, whatever come with him. If he got beat and it's more than one people as a clique trying to get at him, then you got to be with him, because he going to be with you irregardless. So that was a thing, trying to keep him on a muzzle and keep him from causing problems and controversy, which was a 24-hour-a-day job, you know. So you had Mayo, you had Snyder. You know, Snyder was the one I spoke about him too, that was locked up for a crime that he didn't commit, eventually ended up getting out, eventually pulled the baddest CO on the whole entire compound. Who else we had in there, man? We had another little young dude in there named Daryl. Yeah, he was a smooth little cat, little young cat. I think he was even younger than me. He was from out Maryland. You know, and in that DC, what they would say in the Feds' car, in the DC car, it was like DC, you know, Maryland would be in the car with us, Alexandria, anything that was Northern Virginia, they was gonna look at you anyway, like, oh, they from DC or they from Northern Virginia. So you was gonna be lumped in the same car, so you might as well had to, you know, roll with the whole clique. But it was new to me, man, you know, because that was one that I was really used to. I'm used to handling beef or dealing with situations on my own, not because of where I'm from or not because of, you know, an area or whatever. It was just because I had a personal problem with you. That's the way I was used to operate. But once I got in the system and I could see that I won't gonna be judged like that, and it won't gonna go down like that. And even when I got in beefs or when I had situations even early on, I used to not even say nothing, but then the dudes used to get mad at me like, man, why you ain't say nothing about that, shorty? You should have said woo woo. Cause I, you know, get to argue with somebody, I pop off, boom, boom, boom. So I'm rumbling, and you know, it ain't gonna last long, one way or another. So it's over then, you know, then it's the aftermath. He did what? He knocked out who? Oh yeah, and then they coming. So then when they coming, then the odds is greater. And then DC gonna be like, oh yeah, well we got your back, and things like that. That's how it transpires in prison all the time. So whether you want it or not, it's just the obligation because of the way it's being carried, the dynamics in prison. That's just the way it is. And man, let me tell you, man, they had some, I spoke of this many times, but they had some mean, you know, this was before the gangs and all this. They just had, you know, mean mobs in prison, man. The Richmond mob was vicious. And when I mean vicious, I mean vicious. And the numbers was astronomical. It was like everybody from Richmond. And then the second biggest clique is gonna be Tidewater. And they was just as vicious. You see what I'm saying? So then you had all the little odds and in different places or whatever. But that Tidewater mob and that Richmond mob, I don't care who you was, you got something to deal with, because they gonna have numbers, and they may have a few of them in there that's just straight killers, and you gonna have some of them that just gonna roll with the clique, and then you gonna have some of them that they in between. They go hard, and depending on how hard the situation is. So it was crazy, man. It was a crazy dynamic in there, man. But DC was always the smallest group, so you had to have that heart, and it had to be known. Look, when it's time for war, you better show up and show up, cause if you didn't, they gonna turn on you. They gonna, no, you ain't even claiming DC no more. You got to get up out, and they gonna hurt you. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how it went. And this was my introduction into prison life and where you from. It all started and popped off at Augusta. Yeah, Augusta was the introduction. And it's crazy in retrospect when you look back on these situations, because you had, people beefing with people from where you was from, right? Which to me, like I say, when you look back at it, it's like, how can you beef with somebody where you from? I mean, where it's not from where you at, when you ain't even never known. You never been there, y'all never had beef on the street. So what's the problem? And then it's even more crazy is, then if you from DC, you all together. If you from Richmond, you all together. If you from Norfolk or Tidewater, 7 cities, you all together. But in actuality, these are the people that you had problems with on the street. These are the people that you fought with coming up. These are the people that you was beefing with because they was on this side of the town, you was on that side of the town. But now when you're in prison, y'all all got to band together because it's survival of the fittest. So that's crazy. You have to band with this dude whether you like him or not because of the way the dynamics is in prison. But on the streets, you may not have never even liked them. Y'all may have shot at each other. Y'all may have rumbled each other. Y'all may have not liked each other growing up, coming up in school or whatever. But in prison, he's not your enemy. He's your ally, because it's survival of the fittest. So that always puzzled me as well. You beefing with people that you never knew and never had a problem with on the street, but you beefing with them in prison just because of where you from. So it's crazy in there like that when you look at it like that. And then, like I say, you can have people in where you from in your clique that you really don't even rock with, you really don't get along with, you really don't dig their personality, or you really got a problem with the way they carry and the way they act, and you ain't got no choice but to deal with it because, like I say, now, these are your allies, and then you got a lot of different personalities. Like I say, you had, like just with the clique alone that was in our block at the time on Augusta, you had Super D, that was my celly. Super D was a cool dude, but Super D was the I guess you would call the go getter, the money getter, the drug man. He get that sack, so he was no nonsense. You had Snyder. Snyder was the pretty boy playboy. He ended up getting the baddest girl on the compound. You had Dixon, my brother. He was the baller. He had super game. You had Church, he's a straight killer. He done been in Lorden. You had Speedy, he's a killer, he done been in Lorden. You had Mayo, he's the thug, he's the troublemaker, he's the antagonizer. It's just so many different dynamics. And then you had me, I'm the boxer, so it's just, but you have to all coexist, you know what I'm saying? You have to coexist, you have to deal with each other, because like I say, when it comes time for war, the odds is always going to be stacked against you, so these going to be your brothers whether you like them or not, because they're going to have your back, life or death situations. It's just that simple, and I guess, the other places looked at it as well, because you're not going to tell me Richmond, as big as they was with all them people, they won't beefing and shooting at each other on the street, but you cannot tell in prison, because if you had a beef with Richmond, man, especially in my Augusta days, well, all throughout my bit, but Augusta days is just so profound in my mind because that's the beginning. That's where I just was learning. Man, them dudes will stomp you out, man. I'm talking about you get to fight with one of them dudes on the yard and they see a Richmond dude over there fighting, you might end up having about 20, 30 dudes stomping you completely out. You know what I'm saying? Straight up like that. And or tide water. You see what I'm saying? So you had to have some people on standby that was willing to go and willing to sacrifice everything and willing to sling that Bethlehem with no remorse in order to keep that up off of you. And then that had to be known that that's how you coming. Because any faking was not going to be tolerated. Because if you act like you faking or you putting your hands in your pants or acting like you, man, them dudes coming. They coming and they ain't joking. You know what I'm saying? Because it's only going to take one to set it off. If one swing, everybody got to move. If one pull out, everybody got to pull out. So that's just how it's going to go. And it was crazy back in them days, man. It was crazy back in them days, and we had a few incidents on there, man. A lot of incidents with Mayo. Mayo created so many problems, man, that we used to have sit downs and try to talk to him like, man, look, pipe down, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because Mayo just couldn't. He just could not, you know, and he a Southeast dude. He from my mouth, he a Southeast dude. He just could not keep his mouth closed. He got to speak on it. He got to joke on it. He got to say something about it. And he can fight. He can fight, you know. He wasn't the greatest, but you gonna have to know something to get out on. And he'll pop off first. He'll laugh and got a little missing teeth in front. He got that little butt nigga there. Yeah. Boom. And take off on you. And then he know he pulling everybody into the fold because it all depends on who he hit and who gonna roll with him. So Mayo was like that, man. He caused a lot of problems, man. A lot of problems, man. And he was just he was vicious on them on the homosexuals, man, and the dudes that mess with him, cause he would just he would say something to them right in their face. He would laugh at them. He would joke on them, and you know, like say you had some dudes that was into that, and the dude that might be messing with the homosexual for whatever reason he wanted to, or that was his preference or whatever, he still might be a problem. He might be they got killers that's into that. They would put that Bethlehem in you. They would rumble with you and all of that. So Mayo didn't care. He just looked at it as if that what you into, then you deserve to be joked on. You deserve to be talked about. So he might walk in the kitchen and see a dude sitting with his peoples, and he might be like, oh, he over there sitting with the boy. You know, he'll do stuff like that out loud just to get a reaction. And the dude might be like, man, your business, man. And Mayo might be like, man, don't nobody want to mind your business. You into that funny stuff. You know, he just would go on, and next thing you know is, man, what you trying to see me? Mayo like, yeah, let's get it. And it's a fight. You know, he went in and out of jail, for fighting all the time. And as long as ain't nobody jump in it or whatever, it won't no big beef. But if somebody jump in it, DC mob gonna move as well. So, you know, those are the type of dynamics you was dealing with him. And I can remember one time, man, they had that phone scam going on there. I think I spoke about it before. Whereas to, man, you know, you got brilliant minds in prison, man. Dudes come up with everything. But they came up with something. This was when we was making collect calls. You had to make collect calls. There weren't no prepaid calls and nothing. Everything was collect calls. And they was charging an arm and a leg, man. I mean, a call might be like $8 or something for like 15 minutes. It was crazy. So, and then we way out here in the mountains. So it was crazy. So somebody came up with some type of way where everybody could make calls for free. And not only could they make them for free, they can continue to make them over and back to back to back. So you'll get dudes that, man, was getting on the phone all day long in every block, man, and just trying to monopolize the phone, stay on the phone all day because they could call for free. And then nobody know how long it was going to last. I can't remember how it got started or what was the dynamic, but I know it was happening because I used it as well, you know what I'm saying? So then you had dudes getting on the phone. So Mayo, Mayo would get on the phone and stay on the phone when all the phones was full and he couldn't get on the phone. He'd try to bully his way on the phone. Mayo would sneak next door and go in other people's block and use the phone, which is automatically a no-no because you got everybody over there fighting for the phone, just like everybody over here fighting for the phone. So who are you to come in somebody else's block and take up a phone spot? But Mayo would get the door open and slide over there and look and see a phone open and run up in another block and get on the phone and try to stay on the phone all day long, man. This dude was wild, man. And I can remember he was over there on somebody's phone And the dude kept trying to get him off the phone. Dude trying to use the phone, and dude like, man, you don't need to sleep over here. And Mayo like, you know, man, you better go ahead on, youngin. You better get on up out of here. You know what I'm saying? And boom, boom, dude. And Mayo dropped the phone, and boom, boom, and pop off on him. And then he got this clique coming. They trying to jump Mayo. Mayo rumbling or whatever. He get up out the block, come back over there, tell the dudes, now it's on. You know what I'm saying? There, everybody want to scrap. Everybody getting scrapped. Everybody want to rumble. See us on the yard. Get out on the yard. It's a whole bunch of foolishness. You got dudes out here getting ready to get killed. And Mayo in the dead wrong, but we can tell him that, but we can't say that to him. We still got to back his hand. You know? So he got people out here, you know, ready to catch a case, ready to catch a body, all because you doing foolishness, man. All because you doing foolishness, man. But, you know, that got settled in, man, and let the dudes rumble one-on-one. Mayo Jai like got out on him, too. But it end up getting squashed. Sometimes beef end up getting squashed like that, where they can see there's going to be a big melee, and a lot of people going to get hurt. A lot of people going to get locked up. People going to get charges. You know, somebody might lose their life. Dudes might say, man, well, look, man, if the two parties willing to rumble, man, just rumble it out and kill it, you know. But a lot of times dudes don't want to do that because dudes can't fight, you know. So dudes don't want to be on the spotlight to get beat up. So they like, nah, you know, and it turns into something bigger. And the principal people that's involved, you know, deduct the melee, the smoke one-on-one because one dude is scared and he need his mob. You know what I'm saying? He need the mob, you know, to make sure he don't get hurt the way that he may get hurt in a one-on-one, to make sure he don't get exposed the way he may get exposed in a one-on-one. So it's just crazy prison stuff, man. It's politics in prison. And this is my introduction. You know, you talking about Augusta. I'm in prison, what, 3, 4 years. You know what I'm saying? I'm already knee deep into all of the politics, all of the craziness, all of the, you know, the Bethlehem play, the where you from, to the attitudes. I mean, it's crazy. And not only do you got to deal with that, you got to deal with the police too. You know what I'm saying? You got to deal with how they coming. You know, it's just it's mind-boggling, man. It's mind-boggling looking back on it now. But when you in the midst of all of that, you know, you processing it every day. You processing it as it go, and you begin to adapt it as a lifestyle. This just how it is, man. You know, this is what my life is now. It's just chaos. It's confusion. It's just danger. You know, this is how you got to live. And that's a big pill to swallow, man, coming from the free world. Because all the problems that you have out here in the free world, you can avoid if you choose to. You can get away from it if you choose to. You can remove yourself from the equation if you choose to. You do not have that option in prison. You just do not. This is where you at. The environment is small. This is who you are. You can't go to another city. You can't go. It doesn't matter. Wherever you go in prison, even to another prison, what is going on with you will travel with you. You know, the prison pipeline is better than the internet, man. It's better than the internet. If you get exposed for something on this camp, or you get beat up on this camp, or you hurt somebody on this camp, or you put some work in on this camp, when you go to the next camp, your reputation is already there before you get there. You know, who you are is already there before you get there. How, to this day, I still don't know, but it is. It's more than likely, I guesstimate that it's going to be somebody on that compound that know you getting transferred, who gonna call home. And he got some kin folks that's on the compound that you coming to, and he gonna tell them. And when they call home, they gonna tell them, and then they gonna go out on the yard and they gonna spread it around. So when you get there, you're gonna be known whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. So there's nowhere to run to in prison. There's nowhere to hide, and your reputation will follow you everywhere you go, man. So, you know, that was Augusta, man. That was my introduction into it. Then, like I said on there, you know, me and Dixon met on some getting ready to, you know, squabble type stuff, man. Because he got on that court and he calling everybody up on that court, and I'm on the other team. And then them cats that I'm on the team with, they scared, they don't even say nothing. So I speak up. And, you know, and he speak up like, man, I ain't even talking to you, Shaw. That wasn't meant for you. I'm like, when you said about the team, and we get into that little friction, and, you know, and we in the same block. This is at the beginning. And then he ended up pulling up on me in the block, man. You know, when we get back in and we end up talking or whatever. But man, you know, that dude became my lifelong friend, man. You know, one of the biggest hearts of anybody I ever met. You know what I'm saying? I love him like my real brother. I feel like he my real brother because me and him have been in situations, life or death situations. I've been in situations it was gonna be life or death, and he was Johnny on the spot. Don't make no difference if he got to catch a body, if he got to catch a life sentence. If it's involved me, he with it. He ain't gonna ask him out right or wrong. We going to war. And it was the same for me with him. If you mess with him or if you come at him, boom. That's just how it was. We just carried like brothers, man, back to back. He had my back, I had his back. And all of that started at Augusta, man. And we ended up being together on a whole lot of different other compounds, man. And but Augusta was where it all started at. Just like Boo, man. Shout out to my brother Boo, man. You know, hopefully he get his liberation real soon. I'm gonna bring him to y'all, let y'all meet him too. He was like my brother as well, but he was like older than me. He was just a couple of years, but he was like one of the dudes that I first looked up to, man, because Boo just seemed like he had prison figured out. You know what I'm saying? It's like he knew what was going on. He moved through prison, man, like like a fine tooth comb, man, through hell. He knew the dynamics. He knew how to wiggle. He knew how to escape. He knew how to get money. He knew how to put that work in. He knew how to deal with administration. He just knew what was going on. You know what I'm saying? And at the time, I was in a learning process, so I learned from him. But yeah, shout out to Boo too, man. Alfred Lewis, my brother as well. Definitely gonna try to bring him to y'all, man. But you know, moving on down the line though, when I ended up leaving Augusta, now that I got the dynamics under my belt, I know how they current it, I know how I got the current, I know what's going on. And man, it was Augusta to Mecklenburg, man. Y'all know I got in trouble, on my own. Thank God ain't nobody else get involved in that because I ain't want nobody to get it was a serious situation. Big Raymond, and when I get to Mecklenburg, man, Dixon co-defendant is on Mecklenburg. Slim, shout out to Slim. Carl, and it won't too many DC dudes on there, man, because Mecklenburg was, like I said, a select group, and it won't too many dudes on there, but Carl was on there, man, and me and Carl became cool, you know what I'm saying, on the strength of Dixon, and Carl was, hustling within himself, one of the best basketball players on the compound as well, but he got it in, but leaving Mecklenburg and going to Greensville, oh my goodness, man, a whole new world opened up, a whole new type of controversy, a whole new type of crazy, chaotic stuff, and a whole new set of DC cats, different breed, different type of animal, man. When I get to Greensville, you talking about now, I've been locked up probably about 7 years. I done been through the wall, I done been through Augusta, I done been through the wall, Augusta, and Mecklenburg, Southampton receiving. So now, I'm on Greensville, and man, DC was a little flooded on there. They got DC cats everywhere, and a different breed of DC cats. You got these dudes who've been locked up for a minute now. They've been in the Virginia system for a minute, so they move different, they act different, When I'm on Augusta, a lot of us coming in, because Augusta was like where they were sending a lot of people that was fresh in the system from because it was a new institution. But these dudes have been seasoned. They've been locked down a while. Some of these dudes have been in Lawton. Some of these dudes on their second bid, and man, it was different. And my man Dixon was there, because I done went to Mecklenburg. He done stayed on Augusta. He done ended up getting shipped from Augusta to Greensville. So when I get there, Dixon is already there. So it was different, man. Greensville was eye-opening. At the time, it was the longest time I stayed on one institution because I ended up getting there like, I think, 93. And I didn't leave till like 98. So you talking about 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98. You talking about like 5.5 years. So that was the longest I had been on any institution, So it was a different experience, man. Different experience. I had a lot of cats on there from DC, a lot of younger, middle-aged, a little older than me, older. Dudes have been doing time for a minute. Dudes, like I say, have been through Lawton. Man, You had Lil Rick on there. Lil Rick is known all over the system, little bitty dude, but Rick get that money. Rick like to, treat himself to get high, but he always gonna get money. And Lil Rick was a soldier. Lil Rick gonna do whatever he got to do when it needs to be done. Man, you had Richie Rich on there. He was crazy as a bedbug. Probably still locked up. He crazy. Richie Rich leave that blood on every compound he go on. He end up putting that Bethlehem in somebody. Little Richie gonna be on that extortion. He gonna be on that bullying. He gonna be on that let's rumble. He just a go hard DC type cat, man. He like, the prototypical type dude you see from DC to just DC or nothing. That's the type of stuff he was on. You had all my little young soldiers on there, man, that was like slightly younger than me, but they was thugging already. They had, been in the system for a couple of years now. You had Quincy, you had Stink, you had Ern. Ern was built like an action figure. Man, just so many different dudes, man. You had Black. You had Mustafa. Mustafa. Everybody that was probably on Greensville knew Mustafa. Mustafa was DC gangster for real. You had let me see who else on there at that time. You had Big A. I told y'all about Big A. Big A had been through Lord and everything. Big A was an older dude. You had Church end up being on there. A lot of cats, man. A lot of cats. But Mustafa, man, Mustafa was different. Mustafa was different, man. Mustafa was just a straight gangster. And he didn't care about nothing but getting his. He want it. He gonna get it one way or another. Mustafa, man, used to be on them cats, man. He used to be on them hard. And he with the extortion game. If you getting money or you getting drugs and you ain't built to hold it and you ain't built to go hard for it, you ain't willing to die for it, Mustafa will relieve you of that. He will relieve you of that because he coming to get it because he want his straight up, man. And Mustafa was known on there. He was notorious on there. They feared Mustafa because Mustafa he coming to get it. He ain't playing. Mustafa used to go to the gym. When you go to the visiting room, you have to go through the gym gate and go around, all the way up to the administration part to go into the visiting room. So when you come out, you got to come the same way. Man, Mustafa was known to be sitting down there at that gym gate waiting on them dudes to come out that visiting room. He thought went in there and got something, went in there and got that sack of something, and won't prepared to hold on to it. And Mustafa would snatch him up in the gym, take him up in that bathroom and tell him to come up off of it, man, and pull that Bethlehem out, and he meant come up off of it. And he was dead serious. And you had dudes that was just terrified, man, and they try to lie, try to say they ain't got nothing. Man, Mustafa was known to strip search dudes, man, just like the police, take everything off. And, make them, pull it out their rectum if they got it in their rectum. Cough it up if they got it in their throat. Dudes knew how to swallow the package and regurgitate it in balloons and stuff. Mustafa gonna make you do all of that. Come up off of it, he want it. And if you ain't come up with it and he thought you had, yeah, he won't play no games, man. He won't. Them dudes was terrified of Mustafa, man. Mustafa was a real live gangster, man. Shout out to Mustafa, man. So, this was, like I say, a different dynamic, man. And then we may have all these dudes in one building, and like I say, Greensville was the biggest institution in Virginia. It's the biggest institution. It's 3 institutions in one, but each side is probably bigger than all the other institutions as well. So you got all of these dudes over here. You got 3 buildings, and in each building you're gonna have a certain amount of DC dudes in all 3 buildings. So the camaraderie was good because, like, on Saturdays or Sundays or something like that, when they had outside rec, man, the DC dudes all get together and just, commandeer the basketball court, and we just played basketball, 5-on-5 basketball, man. And the dudes used to be so mad that they come out there, they can't get the court, and they wouldn't let nobody play with just the DC dudes, man. And we ended up having beefs over that. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, y'all ain't getting on the court. It was just crazy type of stuff going on, man. Then, you know, you had the boxing on there. So, you know, the DC cats, man, a lot of them box, so we getting it in and there, and you know, just not being biased, being honest, man, we whooping like everybody. So dudes don't like us for that. So it just was a lot of things going on, man, a lot of moving parts that you had to compartmentalize, man, because make no mistake about it, on Greensville, danger was omnipresent. It was omnipresent. Anything could pop off on there at any time, man. And them 90s was vicious, man. Super vicious. Somebody said to me in my comments about talking about Building 7, man, and on Greensville, man, back in the 90s. And I probably end up doing a video about that. But that Building 7, Terror Dome, man. Terror Dome. You know, it won't even no need to live in there if you ain't had no heart, if you weren't willing to put in no work. Because if you did, you probably was going to be getting extorted. You probably was going to be getting beat up. You probably was going to be getting assaulted. You probably was going to be getting sexually assaulted, physically assaulted. I mean, everything, man. At one point in time, they didn't even have women that was willing to even work in the building because the building was just so out of control, so, you know, over the top that women was actually quitting their job when they got assigned to the building. Oh, you assigned to Building 7. We need you to work Building 7 today. I ain't going up in there. I mean, this is where you got. I ain't going up in there. If I got to go up in there, I quit. I mean, where there's no other post for you to go. Well, I'm gone. I'm out of here. I'm checking out. Yeah, it was just that crazy on there. And when I look back on it, man, it was just a wild time, man. It was a wild time. But even though I'm like 8 years into my bit, all of this is still new to me. You still learning as you go. You never stop learning in the penitentiary because it's always going to be changing dynamics, changing faces, changing people, you know, changing administration. So it's always going to be different. So you always got to be on your toes. You always got to be prepared for whatever, you know, because you don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And I met a lot of good dudes on there, man. A lot of good dudes that I'm still friends with today. Dudes that end up being, you know, like say lifelong friends and stuff from different places too. It ain't just had to be DC with me. I was always cool with who you are, not where you was from, you know, but just that DC dynamic always played a factor because even though that was my mentality, that may not be the next person's mentality. You got dudes that just ain't like me just cause you from DC. You know what I'm saying? Dudes that just ain't like me for that. I did nothing to them, had no other, you know, just because of that. So you have to be aware of that too. And then you got dudes that try to get close to you, but they got ulterior motives, and you don't know who's who. So, you know, it's crazy. And then, like I say, you could have a beef with somebody on another compound, and it may have been some DC type stuff or whatever, and then you on this compound, and then you don't know this is cousin, this is brother, you know what I'm saying, this is uncle. And they is cuddling up under you, trying to get close to you, but you don't even know. They might be waiting for you to turn your back to put that Bethlehem in you, you know, for what you did to their brother, what you did to their cut. So you just don't know. So you always got to be on point. You always got to be skeptical about who you dealing with and who you talk to. And like I say, that created a lot of friction in creating bonds and friendships with dudes because you never knew who was who and where they was coming from. But man, them days right there on Greensville was monumental in my growth, man, in my growth in the penitentiary and me understanding what I was dealing with, who I was dealing with, and where I was at because, man, everything that you could possibly think of went on Greensville in them 90s, man. I'm talking about, you know, dudes losing their life, dudes losing their eyes, dudes getting colosophy bags, dudes getting beat into comas, dudes losing their teeth, dudes getting their arms broke, their ribs broke, their legs. I mean, it just was a madhouse. You understand me? It was a madhouse, and I'm smack dead in the middle of it, trying to process and trying to, you know, survive and learn as I go. And it ain't, you know what I'm saying? It ain't no blueprint for this. It ain't no manual. It's just survival of the fittest. You know what I'm saying? And then, like I say, beefs was popping off all the time for crazy stuff, man. And then if you gonna be, you know, in it by association, whether you like it or not. If you in a block with somebody that's from DC and he get in a beef and his clique is Richmond or his clique is Tidewater or something like that, then that's it. You ain't got no say so, because if you try to play the sideline, then you got beef everywhere. You got beef from your own home city, and then you got beef from the dudes, because they already looking at you like you with it, whether you want to be with it or not. So you in it, irregardless. You are in it. You know what I'm saying? So you always had to be prepared for that type of stuff, because you can't control how other people think. You can't control other people's actions. You can't tell some of these youngins, look, man, that ain't even worth it. Don't get involved in that, because this thing gonna get wild. This thing gonna get ugly. It's gonna get super ugly. Nah, I don't like that joker. I'm gonna smash him. You know what I'm saying? Well, if you smash him, you know this, man, I'm smashing him. You know, what can you do? You know what I'm saying? You just can get prepared, because that's how it's going down. And then, like I told you, we had some young dudes on there, dudes from the city, man. They had big heart, man, like Stink, you know, like Quincy, like Quest. You know, I told y'all about the situation with Quest, where Quest had the whole, you know what I'm saying, DC mob in some uproar type stuff. But this was later in the later 90s. You know what I'm saying? But that happened. I told y'all that, so there ain't no need to reiterate that story. Go back and watch the story that I spoke about that on. But in that situation right there, somebody lost their life. You know what I'm saying? Actually lost their life, all over a $20 bill. You see what I'm saying? So these are the things that can happen in prison. These are the things that was going on. So, man, like I say, you had to be aware. You had to understand what was going on. I can remember being out on the yard, man, because somebody from DC beefing with a dude from a whole nother city, man. And we on the yard like, man, we on the yard probably like 30, 35 deep, but they like, they like in close to pushing 100. You know what I'm saying? They pushing like 100 deep. So things is getting ready to pop off all over some pettiness, some gambling, some small money, man, less than $100. But dudes is willing to lose their life over this just by the principle that, you know, I'm not gonna give in. I'm not gonna back down. You know, who's right and who's wrong and went out the window. It's just a matter now who backing down and who not backing down. Who's standing with him and who gonna stand with him. So once people see how serious it is and where it's getting ready to go, that's when somebody got to have some type of knowledge and some type of, you know, negotiating skills to bring this thing to a head before it start pop up. Because once the first blow is thrown, once the first initial physicality take place, it's all out war then, bro. It's all out war, and there ain't no telling what might happen. You know, and I done been in those situations, man. And when you look back on it now, they were all avoidable situations. They was all petty incidents, man. But petty incidents turn into great, large life altering decisions, man, when you in prison. You know, because of that closed-in environment. And then everybody was always fighting with each other, and not the administration, the people who actually had their foot on our neck, man. And it was crazy, man. It was just a mad time, man. In them 90s on Greensville was a mad time. And me and Dixon, man, we ain't missed too much of nothing, man, because we always seem like to be into something. And I'm going to bring y'all some more Dixon stories as well, but I'm waiting for my brother to come down here and put them on camera with you, and we can tell these stories together. But yeah, Greensville was eye-opening, man. And the characters on there, like I say, you had the Mustafas, you know, you had the Big A's, and Big A, he DC to the heart. He ain't going for nothing, period. He ain't going for anything. And I told y'all when we was on Augusta, you know what I'm saying, he had already got stabbed and almost lost his life for taking up for another DC dude that wouldn't even stand up for himself. So now he even on some more, like, F everybody. If you get in my way, I'm you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to hurt you. Straight like that, I'm trying to hurt you. Yeah, Big A trying to hurt you, man. He, if not carry you out. You know, because it's a different type of dynamics, man. Once you done had that Bethlehem put in you in it, and you done been that close to death, then you definitely don't want that to happen again. So you gonna strike first. So Big A ain't do a lot of talking. He get paranoid. He was super paranoid. You know, I done had to talk him down myself a couple of times from hurting dudes just over petty things, because he think this, or that's what's in his mind. You know, he could be in the shower, you know, and the shower stall come down to your chest, and dudes could be walking back and forth past the shower or going to the booth when the shower is right there adjacent to the booth. And if you catch eyes with Big A, like you just look over there because you're aware of your surroundings, And Big A get paranoid. He think you plotting on him in the shower. He done came out the shower one day because the dude looked over there. He said he looked over there twice. You know what I'm saying? He on some freaky stuff, man. And Big A older, man. He like in his late 50s or something. He think the dude plotting on him. I said, man, the young dude don't know what he doing. He just looking at his surroundings. Big A ready to put the Bethlehem in him for looking in the shower. For looking in the shower, and the dude don't know nothing about prison. Dude ain't no more than like 20-something years old. So I had to talk to him, but that's that paranoia, man, because it's so much danger in surrounding you every day that you stay paranoid, and then you see things happening to other dudes, so you just be like, man, you're so anxious to make sure don't nothing happen to you. You may move off of something that you think, and it may not be what you think. But that's just the dynamics of being in prison, man. That's the type of psychological effect it'll have on you, especially when you've seen viciousness, super violence. So, that'll put you in a state of mind, man, and strike first. And like I say, it just it's a different world, man. It's a different world. And then when you from a different state, it's even that much more, profound to you that you have to be aware of what's going on around you, because you know for a fact that people don't like you just because. They don't like you, the administration don't like you, is DC versus everybody. You know what I'm saying? So you on your own and you got to stand tall. And not to say that we ain't have no dudes from DC that was suckers. We Bammers, scared to death. But they be weeded out because dudes gonna let them know. Don't, you know what I'm saying, man? Don't be telling nobody you from DC because they scared. You know what I'm saying? And they just got caught up on a crime in Virginia and came to prison, but they just ain't built like that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, dudes like Big A, he gonna take up for you either way. You know what I'm saying? You had dudes like that. They gonna take up the beef for you. You see what I'm saying? Just like Marvin. Marvin was the one who took up the beef for Quest, who ended up in Marvin getting a murder charge. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how it's gonna go, because those dudes are gonna feel like if you do something to a dude from DC and you beat him up or you stab him or you take advantage of him or something like that, it's gonna make the city look weak. You see what I'm saying? They may not even respect this dude because he may actually be weak, but just the fact that he's from DC, they gonna roll with him and they gonna represent for him. And then may just tell him that, he ain't, SHIT, you ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, they're gonna take up that beat because they have the heart for it and they gonna represent that city. And you know what I'm saying? That's something that I always looked at them dudes too, as with some type of pride, because of the simple fact is they be willing to get late to stay in prison longer, or to you know what I'm saying, put themselves in harm's way for somebody else that they felt was weaker than them, and they felt like they was being taken advantage of or targeted just because. You know what I'm saying? And you had a lot of dudes like that from DC, man. A whole lot of them, and a lot of them paid the price for it as well. But man, yeah, those 90s, man, those 90s was crucial, man. They was crucial. The camp was out of control. The environment was crazy. It was like they built that prison and they threw everybody on there to fill up these beds, man. And the dynamics was so crazy, and it was just so many that you're going to get caught up. You know what I'm saying? Just like I said, you can't duck nothing in prison. Nothing in prison. It's coming. And then at this time too, we had night rec. So you might be out there at nighttime, it's dark, and it goes down on that yard all the time, which eventually they ended up taking a night rec because it won't nothing for them to be clearing the yard at night and go out there and find 1, 2, maybe 3 dudes, them been hit up, laid in a pool of blood, out there gargling blood or trying to, crawl to the gate, and they done stuffed them in a corner and they don't know who did it. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. And that's why a lot of dudes ain't even come to night rec, because they knew what was out there. And especially if they had a beef or had altercation or words with somebody, and not come out on their yard at nighttime because they knew what might happen to them. So yeah, man, I was just thrown in the mix of all of this, and I'm lucky, to have survived some of the things I have survived, and made it through some of the things I made it to to try to tell y'all, man, to try to educate these young dudes out here to let you know, my brother, I promise you with every breath in me, this ain't no life that you want to live. Trust and believe me, this is not a life that you want to live. These is real situations right here, man. Real situations that you will have to encounter each and every day living inside these prison walls, man. And I can remember the first real beef that I probably had on Greensville with that, especially with that where you from type stuff when I was moving in the cell. This was, man, I just got on there too, this was probably within the first year I was on there, and I ended up moving to another cell. They put me in another cell. And when I come in the cell, the Bama that was in there was like, what's up, man? My name says. I'm like, yeah, what's up? Then, you know, it was good greens and all of this and everything. Then we say, man, where you from? And as soon as I say DC, man, the man whole disposition changed. Everything changed. But he was like, oh, yeah. You know, he went from being, okay, boom, boom, yeah, man, my name, to, oh, yeah. So he ain't even want me in the cell just because of that, because he had already had prior beef with somebody from the city who had banged him up that I found out later. So he didn't even want me in the cell with him, so he went into all this. So this in the first day, man, I don't think this is going to work right here, man. I think, you probably going to have to go somewhere else, man. I said, what? You know what I'm saying? What? He said, yeah, man, I mean, I'm be honest with you, man. I don't even rock with no DC dudes, man. I don't want to be in the cell with them. I don't want to cell with nobody from DC or nothing, man. I said, yeah. I said, well, that's your problem, bro. You talk to the administration. They who put me in here. This where they put me at. This one I'm sleep at, man. If you got a problem with that, you need to take that up with them. He tell me, nah, man, it don't work like that. Then he started fumbling all around in his pants, which is a clear indication that he might got that Bethlehem on. So now my antennas and spidey senses is like, oh, okay, all right. So I'm playing my position with him, looking at him like, I mean, what you saying, dog? You know what I'm saying? He said, I done said it, man. I don't, you know what I'm saying? And he jabbed like, which is a no-no in prison. That's how I knew he was a cold bummer. He jabbed like, flashed the little joint on me. I can see it and not see it, but I can see that he got something. So I'm just trying to play it cool and everything. I'm just trying to pick my position and pick my spot, right? Because I'm getting ready to flatten him in here, because you definitely ain't going to get me to go to sleep up in here and don't wake up because this bam done, attacked me in my sleep or something. So I'm like, look, bro, I don't know what's going on with you. I ain't never did nothing to you. I don't know you. I'm just meeting you. You talking about you don't want nobody in here from DC. You don't even know me. You don't know what type of dude I am or whatever. He was like, I ain't trying to get to know all that, man. Just telling people put you somewhere else, man, And he pacing around in the cell. The cell already small, but I'm just waiting to get a good angle on him because I don't want to pull his joint out on me and, you know what I'm saying, poke me, and then I ain't trying to take none of that. So he steady talking and I'm steady acting like I'm unpacking, but I'm definitely watching him at the same time. And man, as soon as I saw the good shot, boom, I just clocked him. Sent him sliding on to the door, and I was on him. Bam, I pounced on him because I got to get his hand and got that joint in it to make sure it don't come out. So I got up down there by the door, and I'm just tussling with him, and I'm holding his hand, and I can see the joint, but the joint he got, it wasn't that big, but it was big enough to hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Especially if he hit me in a vital area or whatever. So we in there, we tussling over the joint, and I don't even know this cat. You know what I'm saying? All because he don't want a DC dude in the cell with him. Man, I try to punish him in there, man, till the people come and bust the door open and come in there and punish both of us. You know what I'm saying? Because next thing we got 6, 8, 10, 15, 20 police on top of all us. But I done already, they gave them the business, you know what I'm saying? For the most part, but they was giving me the business. They hitting you, they got the nice sticks, and they balling you up, and they stomping you, and then they balling you up, you know what I'm saying? And it's just crazy. But this is the type of things you're going to go through. Now I'm in the hole, you know what I'm saying, which was my first experience of, you know what I'm saying, the hole on Mecklenburg, on Greensville, so, which I ended up being back there a lot, like a second home, within the whole time that I stayed there. But yeah, that was my first incident right there with just because of where you from. So like I say, it's real. And then how you come in the penitentiary is how you gonna always be in the penitentiary. You come in there and say you're a gangster, you gonna have to be a gangster. You come in there and say you from Tidewater, you gonna always be looked at as from Tidewater. You come in there and say you from New York, you gonna be a New York cat. You come in there and say you from Mississippi, you gonna be that's what it is. You see what I'm saying? So you gonna have to stand on what you say. And you're going to have to stand on where you from, whether you like it or not. You know what I'm saying? You may not even like where you from, but you're going to have to like it when you in there because that's how you're going to be judged. Period. You know what I'm saying? So it's just prison, man. It's prison etiquette, man. It's prison attitude. It's prison politics, man. And that's just how it go down. So you gonna roll with it or get rolled over. It's just that simple. You know, and then like I say, if dudes come to have your back and you not man enough to stand up for yourself, now you done created a whole nother problem because you got the dudes that this where you from and they don't like you and they don't respect you, but they still gonna roll with you, but they have zero love for you. You know what I'm saying? And then you got everybody else who looking at you as you weak as well. So it's you know, when you go to prison, man, if you a boy or you a young, not boy as in penitentiary boy, but just a boy, not even a grown man yet, or you a child, you a kid, and you have a child's mentality, but you have now put yourself in a man's environment, and you gonna have to grow up real quick, you know, because like I said, your mom and your daddy and your cousin and your brother, none of them is going to be able to help you when you up in there and you dealing with all of these type of things that you have to deal with, let alone where you from. You know what I'm saying? Let alone that. So it's just it's a crazy situation, man. But I'm telling you, and I don't want to sound biased. I'm just telling you from my experience. DC dudes, man, had to really be on their game up in this Virginia prison system, man. You had to really be on your game because, like I say, most people, not all, but most dudes is not gonna like you just because of where you from, because they feel like you done came over here across that bridge and you did, and especially if you got a murder charge or anything like that, or a robbery charge against somebody from Virginia, a drug dealer, or you know, they automatically gonna have some hate against you, man. And you gonna have to be able to defend yourself. You gonna have to be prepared to defend yourself at any time, at the drop of a dime, period, point blank. And then when you got dudes in there that's current the way they current it, like Big A, like Mustafa, like Richie Rich, they just say, yeah, F all y'all, come on with it. Yeah, we with it. I want the smoke. However, you know, I'm gonna rob you cats while I'm in here. I'm gonna extort you. It creates even more. You see what I'm saying? So you gonna have to wear the weight of that too. You gonna have to wear the weight of that because you're gonna be a part of it, whether you want to be or not. So all of that was going on Greensville at the time, man. And there's so many stories, man. So many incidents that done jumped off. So many so much blood that been shed. Heads that been bust. It's insane, man. It's insanity. Looking back at it now from, you know what I'm saying, my rear view mirror, man. It was just insanity in a chaotic time, man. I'm fortunate enough to come out of, man. I'm fortunate enough, and a lot of other brothers was as well, man. But nobody comes through it unscathed, though. You know, whether physically or mentally, you still deal with it. I still deal with it. I still think about these things, having to bring these things up, having to give y'all these stories, and you know, and I see it from a different perspective now because I'm out of it. But when you inside of it, it is your life. This is how you're living. This is your everyday life, and there's no escape. So you have to deal with it, man. But I just wanted to drop this little bit on y'all, man. Just sitting up here and I was reminiscing this morning. I wanted to give y'all this, man. Especially when I grabbed this hat to put on this morning. This is what prompted this story. So this is why I brought it to y'all, man. Yeah, man, in the Virginia penal system, brother, please believe it's DC versus everybody, man. You are the minority. You are the lowest one on the totem pole. But salute to all my brothers, man, all my comrades, man, because for the most part, they all stood tall. And they all held their own ground, man, 10 toes down, you know, and that's saying something right there, man. So salute to all my brothers, man, you know, especially all the ones that still locked up in the belly of the beast, still trying to get out, you know what I'm saying, Black, Jerry, you know what I'm saying, a whole lot of my other comrades that's still in there, man. Salute to y'all brothers, man, and y'all maintain, man, and hold down the fort, man, because it's, trust me, it get greater later, man, because it's a whole lot better out here, and a lot of that stuff, man, you're going to have to leave behind you when you walk out that door, man. But God willing, that will happen for y'all soon. But just like in everything, man, like I say, in every lesson, there is a blessing, man, and the blessing is, man, that I'm right here, right now, talking to y'all, man, when I know without a doubt I did not have to be, but God is good and I'm here, and I just want to give y'all these lessons, man. I want these young people to get these lessons and understand, man, that if you out here in this free world, my brother, I would say this and I will continue to say this until I don't have no more breath, you are winning. Regardless of your circumstances, regardless of what you think you know what I'm saying, what you looking at, and this ain't working right for you, that ain't working right for you. I got a lot of things that ain't working right for me right now, but I'm gonna keep on pushing forward. You understand me? So you got to do the same thing, man, and you know, just stay free, man. Stay free, because I'm telling you, it's better out here. Under any circumstances, it is better out here, and you got a chance to change your circumstances every day, man. So that's the blessing, man, and this lesson, man, that you out here, and you can do better each and every day, man. Just keep on pushing at it. Salute to everybody out there, man. We gonna keep on pushing. I'll be back at y'all in a minute. Y'all hold me down, man. I hold y'all down. Y'all be safe, be smart, make good decisions, man. I'll see y'all real soon, man. DC versus everybody, man. Boom, 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 boom. We out here, baby. And duck them hooks. Boom.
The Banky special.
Yeah.
Pure deliciousness.
Pure deliciousness, man.
My name is Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's the name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts.